Chapter 8. Building Awareness. A common assumption is that awareness building is equal to communications. Yet, sharing information doesn't always produce awareness. Recall from Chapter 2 the factors that influence the degree to which individuals internalize awareness messages, including their view of the current state, how they perceive problems, the credibility of the sender, the circulation of misinformation or rumors, and the contestability of the reasons for change. Because of these factors, the act of communicating doesn't always produce the result of awareness. For example, employees at an energy services company were interviewed after attending a meeting that announced a major restructuring effort. The goal of the meeting was to share the nature of the change and the business reasons for the restructuring. The following quotes from different employees show the range of awareness from skepticism to total conviction in the business's reasons for change.
We've heard all of this before. When things aren't going well around here, a reorganization is usually the answer.
This is just another attempt to reduce costs. We are changing so that we can remain competitive and streamline our processes. Given the current market conditions, we must re-examine how we do business. Our current cost structure is too high, and we risk losing business to competitors if some type of action is not taken immediately. All of these employees were provided the same information. The first employee discredits the information. The last employee demonstrates a strong conviction for the need for change. Because employees internalize information about change in different ways, several observations can be made about the strategy for building awareness. Building awareness is a process. You cannot assume that a single message or event will result in uniform awareness of the need for change. Awareness is not achieved based on the messages sent, but rather how the messages are received and internalized by each person. The only way you can measure awareness is through interactions and feedback. Several change management tactics are effective for building awareness. Effective communications, executive sponsorship, coaching by managers and supervisors, and ready access to business information. Before these change management tactics can be applied, it's necessary to brainstorm and discuss the awareness message. The group responsible for developing and implementing the change must have a common understanding of the overall nature of the change and how the change aligns with the vision of the organization, the reasons this change is necessary or important, or why this change is needed now, the risk of not changing, the market changes, competitor threats, or customer issues that contribute to the need for change, when the change needs to be implemented, and who will be most impacted by the change. Once the foundation for an awareness campaign is established, a combination of change management tactics can be used to create awareness of the need for change. Tactic 1. Effective communications. Communicating through multiple types of media is the most commonly used method for building awareness of the need for change. Communications could include any of the following channels: face-to-face meetings, group meetings, one-on-one communications, email, newsletters, magazines, intranet, executive presentations, training and workshops, project team presentations, phone conferences, and so on. To support awareness building, these communication channels should be used only after a communication strategy has been developed. Your strategy should: 1. Identify and segment audience groups. 2. Determine the appropriate messages for each audience. 3. Develop the most effective packaging, timing, and channel for these communications. 4. Identify the preferred senders for each audience. Audience segmentation is essential to ensure that awareness messages are designed specifically for each group. Each group will have a unique context and reference point related to the change. Each group has access to different information on a regular basis and will have different pain points and areas of interest. Awareness building will be most effective when the message is sent in the proper context for each audience and the key messages are tailored for each group. Executive managers, for example, already have access to most financial data and changes in the marketplace. Frontline employees, however, may know very little about company finances or changes in the market. To communicate awareness of the need for change, the messages must be meaningful to that audience and must be designed with them in mind. When developing the most effective packaging, timing, and channels for these communications, you should consider what types of communication would be most effective for each audience group. When is the best time to send these messages? And what communication channels have been most effective in the past? Recall from Chapter 2 that the preferred senders of information about change in the workplace include the business leaders of the change and the employee's direct supervisor. Employees want to hear why the change is occurring and how that change aligns with the vision for the organization from the business leaders. Employees want to hear how the change may impact them personally or what's in it for me from their direct supervisor. So while general communications will be a critical change management tool, awareness building requires more than the simple broadcasting of information. Business leaders and managers play an essential role in the awareness building process. Tactic 2. Executive sponsorship. The executive sponsor of change is the best spokesperson for communicating why a change is needed and the risk of not changing. Employees want to hear from the person in charge, as they believe this person has the broadest perspective and deepest understanding of the state of the business. Business leaders must share the nature of the change and how that change aligns with the vision for the organization. Create an understanding of why the change is needed and the risks of not changing, and establish the priority for the change. The expressed urgency in the message should match the relative importance of the change to the organization. However, a sponsor's role in building awareness goes beyond signing their name to a letter or email or being the first speaker at events related to the change. Based on research data collected by ProSci in 2005 from 190 project managers, the following roles are the direct responsibility of the primary sponsor. First, participate actively and visibly throughout the entire change process. Stay engaged with the project team and collect feedback from employees. Second, build a sponsorship coalition that reinforces the awareness message at all levels. Enable peers, direct reports, and managers to communicate the reasons for change to employees so that a consistent message is finding its way throughout the organization. And finally, communicate directly with employees. Share why the change is happening, the risks of not changing, and align the change with the overall direction of the business. Repeat these messages through multiple communication channels, including face-to-face interactions. Tactic 3. Coaching by managers and supervisors. Part of awareness building for employees is learning what the change will mean for them personally. Awareness of the business reasons for change takes on a unique meaning for each person. Individuals are already aware of their current state, health, comfort level, financial position, relationships, satisfaction with work, family status, and the many other factors that comprise their personal situations. When a change is proposed at work, the change is compared with this awareness of self. It's a natural reaction to begin asking why, as each person begins to map the change against his or her own life. A supervisor is in the best position to help employees understand the reasons for change in meaningful terms and to evaluate how the change will impact each person. Through this process, sponsorship for the change is sustained. For managers and supervisors to be effective in this role, they must have the opportunity to build awareness of the need for change themselves. Project teams and sponsors of the change must ensure that managers have complete and accurate messages around why the change is needed, the risks of not changing, and what internal and external factors have created a need for change. Managers will also need basic skills and knowledge about change management in order to conduct effective sessions with employees. Once these preparatory steps are complete, supervisors and managers should discuss the change with their employees. Through face-to-face communications, managers can reinforce the awareness message from the executive sponsor and correct any misunderstandings about the change. They can also collect feedback from employees to better understand the background conversation. Supervisors and managers should employ both group meetings and one-on-one sessions with their employees. Group meetings are often more convenient and useful for initiating communications. However, group meetings cannot be a substitute for individual discussions about the change. Recall that a key part of awareness building includes sharing what's in it for me. These discussions are only effective when you can have candid and confidential conversations with each employee. This process of meeting with employees as a group and as individuals also helps correct misinformation that may be present in the background conversation. The background conversation surrounding change is powerful and difficult to control. Employees hear business messages and internalize those messages in terms of personal impact. They translate the business change into personal change. The personal impact of the change, along with each employee's point of view, creates the majority of the background conversation. Without supervisors and managers engaging in the process, employees are likely to develop an awareness based on rumors, misunderstandings, and inaccurate information. In addition, the project team doesn't have a reliable channel to collect feedback on where employees stand in the change process without direct supervisor involvement. Tactic 4. Ready access to business information. Many companies underestimate the power of readily accessible information about company performance, market conditions, environmental factors, competitive threats, and changing business priorities. Companies that keep information close to the vest, with little or no information available to employees, face a much greater challenge when building awareness of the need for change. For example, a software training company uses highly trained consultants as subcontractors to teach classes. The training coordinator assigned classes to consultants based on a priority system and how well the consultant matched the client's needs. In some months, the consultants had more work than they could handle. Other months, work was scarce, and the consultants expressed concern over the work assignment process. They were frustrated with the unexpected schedule changes that were seemingly shared with them at the last minute.